Welcome to the eCommerce QueenBOSS podcast by So Here On Air, where you get every week clarity with your marketing strategy and alignment to build a thriving online business. Your host, So Here, is an expert in experience marketing and consumer psychology. She worked with clients ranging from startups to multi-million-dollar online businesses. The eCommerce QueenBOSS podcast is for the woman on a mission to build her own empire. And it's starting in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, dear Queen Bosses, and welcome to the eCommerce QueenBOSS podcast. My name is Sohir, your host, and for the last few days, I have been releasing a lot of knowledge and content related to e-commerce. And the idea behind the QueenBOSS podcast is that I want to talk about everything, of course, that takes you to build your own business and into, when you're balancing into your masculine energy and doing a lot of stuff and getting stuff done and building your business and everything. But that will be like the boss section. And from time to time, I want to talk about the queen section, where we as women get to experience our feminine side and know how to balance the feminine and the masculine energy in order to build a thriving business. And today I'm bringing to you a very special guest. I'm absolutely love what she's been doing on Facebook and Instagram. Basically, this is how we connected. And we are going to talk to you today about pleasure and slow pleasure and how this type of pleasure can actually help you build your business. So Sarah Marie Liddle teaches and coaches people how to create relationships they love, master slow pleasure, self-love, have sex, and more, increasing your confidence. Hello, Sarah.
Hi, darling. How are you?
I'm doing great. So glad to have you in here. How are you?
Good. I'm really thrilled to be here, and I just love this topic of slow pleasure. So already, before we even started, I was like talking a lot about it. It's my passion. So
amazing. And this is especially why I have invited you here, because I think it's it's a wild topic that we women, and even in general in business and in life, we get to overlook, right? The pleasure in every form. So can you explain to us or to the people listening in here, how did you come to do the work into slow pleasure, and how did you get in there, basically?
I love this question. This is probably the most important question when that I've been asked in regards to this, because I didn't just stumble upon this concept randomly. It's actually came from years and years of experience. So previously, I did even write a book on purpose and on being present in the moment. So I intertwined a lot of that work in it. But the entire concept of slow pleasure came about at the end of last year. So this is back in 2017. In June of 2017, I left my law job. I was working at law at the time, and I just had my business on the side. And I left because I got really sick. I got so chronically sick. I kept going to see the doctor, and they couldn't diagnose me. They didn't know what was wrong. I had scans and tests and everything.
Okay.
And then one day, my partner stumbled across an article online talking about breast implant illness. And I had breast implants in at the time, silicone 375. And I am a little woo-woo, but I'm also a little level-headed. I was working in law. I'm not one to jump the gun on things. So I was a little bit skeptical at his concept at first that he'd come across. But I kept getting sicker and sicker. And it got to the stage where I was really anxious to just go get a coffee. I was really depressed. I had really bad acne rosacea. I had no sex drive. And I decided that I had to get these breast implants out. So it was a miracle that I was able to get them out. And I recovered in a snap. As soon as they came out,
Wow.
everything changed. Everything. My mood, my skin, my energy, my appearance. Now, the thing that emerged from that was the fact that I realized I didn't want to keep living my life the way I'd been living it. I was on that treadmill of hustling, of trying to be a good mum, a good partner, of trying to be all things to all people and keep everyone happy. And I was very goal orientated. And I realized that wasn't living. I realized that wasn't life. Looking forward to the little tiny pleasures that may emerge. So I set out to heal, to recover, to live my life as if every day was the last day, in a sense, and as if every moment was the last moment. And that transformed my life. It transformed me as a person, a lover, a mother. It transformed my business. It's amazing what happens when you step into your place of pleasure, because you open yourself up, you step into the feminine. Opportunities just come to you. A lot of my coaching is word of mouth, is referral. I don't have to try, things just happen. And this is the state that you step into when you step into the place of pleasure.
That's beautiful. Everything that you said is definitely I want to just go back to what you said into, teaching ourselves to live as if this was our last days, because truly it's like we never know when all that is going to happen to, stop, right? So like, it's right that we, like you said, we tend to go into like, the fast life, and when it's the next pleasure, right? And not even taking the time to enjoy it. So can you explain to the women who are listening, what do you define as slow pleasure?
That's a really good question. Slow pleasure is a philosophy. It's a way of living. It's not a strategy or a tactic. And a lot of people think, oh, I love this concept of slow pleasure. And they may go running with it, and they may try to have pleasure in one area but get stressed in another. No. It's actually an entire way of being. It's not about doing at all. The doing does come naturally, but it's about who you're being. So slow pleasure really encompasses a lot of small components, but two key components is presence, so the ability to be present. And we're not taught that. We are not taught that. So you need to learn that. That's something you need to learn. Whether that be making love with your partner, or in your business on a call with a client, or maybe if you're playing with your children, are you present with them? Presence is absolute key. And the other key element is passion. A lot of the times we do things in our business that we're not passionate about.
Oh, yeah.
There's only a small select few things you really need to do in business, but we focus on so many things that we don't. So really bringing back passion and putting it into every area of your life. Being passionate about playing with your children, about being passionate about being with your partner. And passion comes when presence is there. If you're not present, it's very hard to infuse passion in the moment, especially if you've been with your husband, let's say for 20 or 30 years. If you're not present, sometimes that passion may be hard to infuse into the moment.
Yeah, definitely. And how can we as women really take the time to go into slow pleasure when everything around us is rushing us through life, and rushing us to do everything, how do you keep the control?
Yeah, I love this. I think a lot of people think, oh, this concept of slow pleasure is so taboo. How can I ever acquire or achieve or attain this slow pleasure that Sarah speaks about? But to be honest, there is as you're saying, there are expectations around us, but we are holding on to them ourselves. So we are placing them on ourselves. Nobody else is dictating them to us. We are actually in them ourselves. So one of the biggest things we need to do is break free from the norms, from society's conditioning about how we need to be or who we need to be. We need to actually take a step back and think independently for ourselves about our life and how we want to live. And yes, when I walk down the street and I'm wearing heels and lipstick and my hair's done, I do my makeup most days. I haven't, I've been racing around a little bit this morning, which is very unusual. But I do my makeup every day, actually, every day. Even today, I do have makeup on. And I really embrace pleasure. And I go out into the world, and then people see me and they think, some people look at me a bit funny. Some people comment. More often than not, I get comments on my red shoes, because I wear red shoes a lot of the time, red heels. But you will get comments, and people will think, what are you doing? Why are you leaving the corporate world to pursue your business? Why are you dressing up to run your child down to daycare or to school?
Yeah.
And you will get that. And that's going to come with the territory. And so this slow pleasure is not for the faint-hearted. You need to be a strong woman to step into this. And you're never ever going to arrive. It's always a practice. So it's about always taking the time in the moment to practice slow pleasure.
I love that. I love that. And now that we are talking about business in this podcast also, like I know a few days back I've seen a post that you put on Facebook, I think, and you were linking how slow pleasure can lead to business success. So can you talk to us about that?
This is such a good question. And it's funny because my business is moving really, really fast. And so now my challenge is integrating slow pleasure when things are going so rapidly, and I'm getting my practice is really filling up. I'm getting a lot of interviews. I'm booking up until the end of the year.
Wow, congrats.
So slow pleasure works. And for me, to integrate it into my business was a natural transition, because I realized that hustling, I'm not Gary Vee, I'm just not a hustler, and hustling has never been my philosophy. I love helping, and sure, like the more people I can help, the better, that's wonderful, but I've never been a hustler. And so when I used to teach and coach before slow pleasure, I adapted everybody else's philosophy of hustling, of trying, and to be honest, it was always really difficult. I always felt as if I was pushing a huge boulder up a hill, but the boulder kept slipping back.
Yeah.
So I never felt like I was getting anywhere. I didn't feel like my business was growing. And I think when it comes to slow pleasure, it really is about you as a person. It's not about what you do, but it's about who you are and who you're showing up as. So you cannot practice slow pleasure and enjoy a beautiful, relaxing morning, a delicious breakfast, time with your son or your daughter, and then jump into your business and hustle. You can do the slow pleasure morning. You can do the slow pleasure in business. And what it looks like to me is really simplifying, only doing the things that you absolutely feel passionately about doing, and leaving the rest. As I was saying before, I don't even have a website like for my slow pleasure and my relationship and sex coaching business. I don't, because that is something that takes my energy. It's not something I'm really passionate about. So finding what excites you in your business and doing just that and nothing more, and realizing that it's okay to work 1 hour a day or 2 hours a day in your business. When I started transitioning from hustling into slow pleasure in my business, I was only working like 1 or 2 hours a day. But those 1 or 2 hours were really good. They were very well spent doing something I was passionate about and I was present for. And when you do that, when you minimize and simplify and step into that place of presence and passion, it's like a ripple effect. You send this energy out. I don't know how it works. I know it works. You send this energy out into the universe. And it's like you do your 10% and the universe is going to do 90% for you. Whereas a lot of people are in their business trying to do the 90% and wait for the 10% the universe to give them a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't. I am open to the universe giving me just about everything. And I know and I trust that it will in perfect timing.
That's amazing. I just love everything that you just said in here. And yes, definitely. You mentioned that it's something that you have to build up, like you have to build up your strength in order to get into slow pleasure. Like, could you give us some tips on what do you mean by building up the strength, and how can a woman do that?
Absolutely. Slow pleasure, as I've said, is a way of life. So more often than not, your environment is not going to change overnight. So you are going to still have all the same problems as you did when you were hustling and trying really, really hard in your business.
Yeah.
So one of the things you have to do and you have to learn to do is to deal with things differently, deal with the past differently, deal with challenging situations differently. This is why you need to embody a new woman, because when you step into slow pleasure, you're not just changing your actions or being present, you're actually changing your entire being. You're becoming a new person. And it does sound weird. I'm probably like freaking people out by saying this, but when you do change as a woman, like you change your thoughts and your emotions, your body changes. I noticed when I started stepping into slow pleasure, my lips started changing shape, my face started changing shape. It was bizarre, because you're stepping into it, you're rewiring your body with your thoughts and your emotions. You are becoming a new person on the inside, and naturally the outside changes as well, I've noticed. So you really need to learn to deal with things that challenge you. And that's one of the big things about slow pleasure, is about simplifying and learning to deal with the challenging things in life, because they will keep emerging. And a good example is a few months ago, I used to be really triggered by my mum, and she called me up, and she always sort of, I hate to say it, but she does guilt trip me a lot of the time. And instead of reacting, which is what I normally do, I normally just react, and I'm just like, oh, I have to go, I can't talk about this right now, and I might just like say something nasty. I don't know, I can't think about it off the top of my head, and I'll just hang up the phone. But instead of reacting in the old version, I took a step back and I reacted in the new slow pleasure Sarah. So I was listening to her concerns, I was hearing them out. I wasn't taking them on, because the old me would take them in and internalize them and make her problems my own. So instead, I heard her concern, I heard her story, I didn't emotionalize it, I didn't take it on, I didn't react. And this is a big thing. It's learning to respond differently to life. And when you do that, then life will also respond differently to you.
I like that a lot. I share that issue with my mom. I know the pain. But and when you reacted differently to your mom, like, how did that make you feel, and did you feel any impact in your life in general?
I don't know if there's just one impact in my life in general, but I definitely think it opens you up to new opportunities, because your mind and your energy is not frozen in time with drama and past concerns. It allows you to move forward and think differently, and be in the present moment, and live a little bit more gracefully. So definitely things keep popping up, but they do get less and less over time. Now, I don't really experience too much when it comes to negativity. I feel like I'm in a really wonderful space, and I receive a lot of, positive comments, and my business has just taken off as a result. But certainly, like when things and if things emerge again, I do handle them differently because I'm in this slow pleasure place. I call it my pleasure palace, where I'm calm and I'm centered and I'm not stressed and I'm not rushing. So I can see things differently. I can see people differently. I can be more compassionate and discerning. Because I'm not worried about achieving some goal or getting somewhere really fast. It does change your entire life as a result. It definitely does.
Awesome. I like this new philosophy, like new way of approaching things. Like, as I mentioned before, like we all get caught, especially when we are building a business, and this type of energy where you mentioned Gary V, the hustling energy that really drains you out when, like, I'm going to be talking from my own point of view because I've been there, done that. Like I remember last year I've really hit a really hot patch because I've had a long time in my life where I was only operating from my masculine side, and then last year I couldn't take it anymore, and I went through a very hard time, depression, and like I burnt out. I couldn't handle that anymore because I remember I needed to reconnect with myself and reconnect with who I was, who I am as a woman, and being, doing business, and especially when on the online world where it's crowded, everyone is trying to talk at the same time. You're trying to, you have bills to pay, you need to get that next client or that next customer, whatever it is, right? And we get rushed, as I mentioned before. And I love the idea and the possibility that we can do that differently, and maybe slowing down and stepping into like our greatness. You mentioned that you were focusing during those 10% of your time to have the best kind of content emerging out of you, and I just really, really love that. And I just want to be part of the people who are spreading this message, because I know now, after years of operating from my masculine energy, that it's possible to step in your feminine energy and own that completely and have a successful business thriving because you're doing that. So I love all that.
Absolutely.
I love
and isn't it a catch-22? Because when things are going, really fast around you, and you're trying to build your business and you're trying to hustle and get clients, and then, you're feeling really stressed and anxious and hustling, like it creates more of that. Like it's a catch-22. And as I was saying earlier, your environment isn't going to change. You need to change. And so if a person is currently finding themselves in that place where they're anxious and trying to hustle and it's not working, then they need to take a step back, and they need to look at how they can change and slow down themselves in their mind and in their heart.
Yes, amazing. I love that. So could you give, like, what is the first step of slow pleasure?
I'm going to say have sex more often. I don't know if your show has an iTunes rating yet. I've probably just made it 18 plus. No, but out of all honesty, like have sex more. I am not kidding. So many women are sex deprived. Yeah. And I'm not saying that because it feels good and orgasms are amazing. I'm saying because a lot of these things, presence, passion, you'll learn in the bedroom. You can learn in the bedroom. If you're not enjoying yourself in the bedroom, maybe you're not present and not passionate and not giving passion. So you need to learn how to do that. And like people's sex lives are, for me, are a look into their real life and their business, because, you know, I have the pleasure profiles and I have a quiz, a free quiz that I offer. And the quiz takes you through a series of questions, all sexual. How often do you masturbate? How many toys do you have? There are some not so sexual. How often do you dance? But after you finish the quiz, I can then see, you know, how you're living your life and, you know, how things are going in your life just by looking at your sex life. So definitely have sex more and learn the power of presence, and pleasure and passion in the bedroom, and that will help and ripple over onto the other areas. I know it sounds lovely. It definitely, all the pleasure principles and concepts are lovely, and the mind automatically does want to put up a gate and go, it's too easy. It's too easy. And yeah, it's too easy. It is definitely too easy. Enjoy it. Receive it. That's one of the things we've been taught to take on, is this idea, that concept, it's got to be really hard. No, it can be completely easy, and you can receive $10,000 next week. It's all possible.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Starting from the bedroom.
Starting from the bedroom.
Okay.
That opens you up from the sexual root chakra level. It opens your heart up. It opens you up to receiving. It's powerful.
Love that. I love that. I'm going to go into my last question, the one that I keep asking to every one of my guests here. What do you want to be remembered for?
Love. I'd like to be remembered for love, helping people to love themselves more, love others more, and live a life that they love.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Sarah, for coming up in here and giving me your time and your precious answers. It's been a pleasure to have you here. Where can we find you?
Well, if you want to come over and stalk me, I mostly live on Instagram. I'm an Instagram girl. My handle is my name, Sarah Marie Liddle. And you can come say hi. Like, I love getting involved with people on my posts, and I always ask lots of questions. And so I'd love to learn more about your listeners and help inspire them as well.
You have a Facebook group, right? Also, if I'm not mistaken.
I have a Facebook group. Yeah, I don't share like everything, you know. In the world of slow pleasure, it's just like you share a little and then people go as deep as they want. So I do have a Facebook group too, which they're most welcome to join. It is called Pleasure Rising, #Pleasure Rising. And they can come over and join that. That's completely free, and we chat about all things sex, self-love, pleasure, you know,
Fantastic.
just all the good things in life. Yeah.
Awesome. I definitely recommend you to join if you're listening to us in here. And because I'm also part of the Facebook group, so come on up and chat with us. It will be a pleasure to have you there. Again, Sarah, thank you so much for your time, and I wish you an amazing day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.